We live. Shalom.
Shalom.
Bear with us. Let's check the feed real quick. Get right into it. Check the feed. All right, we live. Hey, Shalom out there. Hey, Shalom, Jim and Charlotte back at you with another live lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakak Kodash. And before we get started, we want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who taught us his truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, we're back at you with another live lesson through the Holy Spirit. The Rakak Kodash. Pray that this lesson is edifying. All right, this is a news and prophecy, the illusion of prosperity in a collapsing system. All right, so we got some articles here, a video or so, and the scriptures lined up here just to kind of go through this thing, man, because this is a good title. You know, we're gonna read this article that you see in front of you here. All right, because there's an illusion that America is still, you know, in function. You know, not knowing, a lot of people don't understand that this place is on the verge of a total financial meltdown. Right, and this is what we've been waiting on. We've been waiting on this for a while now, man. You know, the scriptures prophesy of an imminent, you know, financial collapse of this system, and this is how they're going to use that collapse to ultimately bring in the beast system, which we've been going into many lessons, all right, about the different types of components of the beast system that's being established now, and how this man is pretty much prepared to make that move. All right, so we'll get into, unless you had any opening words.
I just want to get this definition for illusion real quick.
Yep.
The illusion in the free dictionary. Jump to definition 2. It says the condition of being deceived by a false perception or belief. Right. So we're seeing, right, the American people have been deceived into believing that this system was going to continue, man. Right. Yep. They were deceived to fall into this state of comfort, right? As the scriptures say, they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, right? They're falling victim to the deception, you know, of these so-called elites, man.
That's it. It's crazy, right? You know, the government has been shut down for, like, I want to say over 35 days now. I believe 35, 37 days, if I'm not mistaken. All right. You know, people are still struggling. It's not getting any better for the average so-called American, man. You know, shit is tight right now, man. People are missing paychecks. All right. From the, the shutdown and shit like that, man. It's a wild time. You know, the SNAP situation, you know, people are not going to get the SNAP benefits. You know, there's people are crying out about that. They're ready to crash out. So all these things, you know, that we're talking about is all forwarding the destruction of this place. But anyway, right, let's get right into it. So as you see here on the screen, right, it says Americans keep spending despite insane record debt, right? And we're going to get into that. I got a video we'll play in a minute. Let's read on here. You got something out?
Not yet.
Okay. It says, and hopefully y'all can see it. I'll make it bigger, right? So it says, America is drowning in debt, and yet somehow the shopping carts keep rolling. The latest data shows U.S. household debt is surging past 19 trillion. All right, people are finished out here for real, right? And you know what's crazy? Not to go ahead and just hit my spirit, but let me get this real quick. I saw this earlier. Bear with me. Right, you can speak, God. Let me find it real quick, God. Speak for me. All right. So, oh yeah, here we go. I found it. Bear with me. Let me pull it up. Salaki, and we'll get back to it. I just want to make a point on this, right? Because I talked about, you know, people that really finished financially, and to prove that point, here we go. Right, I saw this yesterday. So this is from Study Finds. It says, is your date financially catfishing you? Half of young adults admit faking wealth. So we've been saying this, man. People on social media are really fronting, man. You know, that social media really got people in the trick bag, man. People really didn't got it like that, man. But that's the society we live in, man. People have to flaunt and stun on social media, but they really don't got it like that, man. People are really cooked. right? But anyway, getting back to the point, because I was thinking about that, just reading that, right? But anyway, back at it. So it says, America is drowning in debt, and yet somehow the shopping carts keep rolling. The latest data shows U.S. household debt is surging past 19 trillion, the highest in history. So if that's not a spiritual sign, then I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly.
Right? It's not getting better from here. This is breaking records, bro. The highest in history, right? It says credit card balances alone have topped 1.4 trillion, while delinquency rates are rising sharply. Right? People can't afford the payments no more. Right? We talked about how that car repossession is at an all-time high. Okay, people are getting booted out of their apartments, losing homes because they can't afford the rent, the mortgage. It says, still from restaurants to retail stores, consumer spending remains remarkably strong. It says here, an illusion of prosperity masking a nation on the verge of financial collapse. Powerful stuff. An illusion of prosperity masking a nation on the verge of financial collapse. And this has been all through the news for the past couple of weeks. That's why I had a couple of tabs lined up just to show you that all these news outlets and these articles that are coming out, that have been coming out, are all talking about that financial bubble bursting, right? It says, you had anything you want to add in there, Ak?
No, you got it.
Okay, read it on here. It says, this is the final stage of a system built on artificial money, cheap credit, and psychological conditioning. Americans are not spending because they're confident. They're spending because they're desperate. The government's manipulated, quote, growth numbers, inflated asset prices, and endless stimulus have trained the population to live on borrowed time and borrowed money. Man. It says many believe if they don't enjoy it now, they may never have the chance again. Right? This is crazy. I'll read a little bit more. We'll grab some scriptures in it, but it says, because we're not financial gurus, but the point is that the signs are there. Exactly. Right? Prophecy is speaking. Go ahead, Ak. You have something?
Kind of real quick. Let's Habakkuk chapter 2, starting in verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. That's
right.
Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, and that wine being the philosophy. The part of this philosophy is, as you read, is going into people leaning on this debt, right? People wanting to borrow, money that they don't have. It says, who enlargeth his desire is hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right. So this is a global a system that's rooted in this debt economy, man. That's right. This article is going into how there's more debt on the earth than there are resources to pay the debt off, man. Right. So it would require a crash to get everything back to level ground.
Yep.
Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that thick clay going into this debt, man. Yep. Right? The trillions upon trillions of dollars, right, that this country owes to other nations, man. Yep. Right? And that other nations owe to each other.
That's right.
But speaking on America chiefly, they owe all this money, so there's no way to get out from under that, man. They pay more on interest than, I think it's top 3 in their global payments, man. So the money going out of America, the majority of it is going to just pay off debts, man.
That's it, man. It's all designed to fail. All right. And I was reading this earlier on the chat. It said that America's economy runs on credit, loans, and fiat currency. The same system that enslaved others financially will collapse on itself, and those oppressed will rise against it. Right. So all these things are happening now, man, and we're going to get into the violence portion of this lesson in a little bit as well, right? But I do want to read these. Oh, you have some more, Oxalock?
No, that was it. That was it.
Okay, con. I do want to read these 3 paragraphs here, and we'll move on. So back in the article again, right? Americans keep spending despite insane record debt, right? So I just want to read these last 3 at the bottom here, and then we'll move on. But it says the Federal Reserve's 2020's experiment with endless liquidity, first under the guise of pandemic relief, then inflation control, created a Frankenstein economy, a zombified consumer class sustained by revolving credit and hollow optimism. Interest rates are now above 5%. Mortgage payments are crushing new homeowners. That's why it's damn near impossible to get a new home nowadays, you know?
Yep.
It says, and yet the so-called, quote, resilient consumer keeps spending as if Washington's printing press still runs on full blast. It says this, quote, resilience is a mirage. Real wages have stagnated while prices on essentials, food, housing, insurance have exploded. Credit card debt has become a survival tool. Buy now, pay later services are booming because people can't afford groceries in real time. Whoo, man. All right. You got to put them damn onions and bananas on layaway, you know? It says auto delinquencies are at its highest levels over a decade, right? We talked about that in some lessons some time ago. People are getting their cars snatched up left and right. Can't afford them payments. You know, it says, right? Hey, you got a $800, $900 payment on that 2010 Honda a month,
Yes.
right? Nasty. It says auto delinquencies are at its highest levels in over a decade, and the average American savings rate has plunged to around 3.5%, near historic lows. People don't have it. Okay. And people are feeling that squeeze. Last one here. It says, behind the headlines of strong consumer spending lies a grim truth. Americans are mortgaging their future to maintain the illusion of a normal life. It's a psychological coping mechanism for a population that knows something is deeply wrong, but can't yet admit it. Exactly. And a lot of people know that the way this society is going, this economy is going, shit ain't right, man. But they just can't quite put a finger on it. But we can, because it's prophecy, right? It says people sense instability. People sense instability in the economy, in politics, in culture, and they respond by over-consuming, distracting themselves with short-term pleasures, you know, bread and circus and all of that, right? And this is the last part, and this is the spirit, because we just said this. It says this is exactly what the architects of fiat dependency want. The central banks, Wall Street, and global financial institutions have engineered a system where perpetual debt equals perpetual control. Mm-hmm. Every dollar borrowed is a shackle. Every credit transaction tightens the leash. And as the middle class evaporates, the state corporate alliance gains more power to dictate how and where people can spend. A prelude to the digital control grid of a central bank digital currency, CBDCs, waiting in the wings. Exactly. This is what we've been saying the whole time. It's all everything was set up to crash so they can bring in the central bank digital currencies, man. The beast system, the chip, man. Okay, so everybody it's all out there, man. You know. Let me get something real quick. Unless you have something.
I just wanted to make mention of this quote. It goes, scarcity equals dependence equals control.
Yep.
So with people, the scarcity is coming from the lack of money, the lack of funds, right? There's there's an abundance of resources at the moment, right? But people can't afford to make those purchases anymore,
Yep.
right? So what happens? They end up depending on government assistance, whatever. What's it called? The what's it? What are they trying to implement? Uh, where they give people $1,000.
Oh, the UBI,
The UBI. Yeah,
yep,
yeah. They do
yep.
things like that for people to get dependent upon them, and then they take them away, and that's how they get that control back. And how they're gonna ultimately control people is through that chip, man.
That's it.
You're gonna have to get that implantable buy or sell device in order to continue in the comforts that this place has offered you, man.
Yep, that's the ultimate plan. All right, and everything is moving towards that way. All right. Real quick, can you read James 5, 1 through 3 for me? I got it on the screen right here. You got it. Excuse me.
It's the book of James, chapter 5 and verse 1.
Yep.
Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten.
Yeah, the dollar, this economic, system is corrupted, man. All right. Everything, this as apostles, we learned, that this Federal Reserve was ultimately set up to rip off the people, because they pretty much, these devils, how did they make their money? They made their money through corruption, through slavery, okay, through robbery and theft.
Yep.
So this whole system as we know it was all built off corruption, wickedness, right? Keep going.
Your gold and silver are cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat at your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days.
Yeah, so it said your gold and your silver is cankered. This dollar holds no value. All right, this is why inflation, hyperinflation, is destroying people, man. All right, they removed that gold standard, and we've been operating off that off of the fiat currency, man, which is pretty much worthless, man. Okay, and right now we have, you have these other nations that are pretty much rejecting the dollar. All right, so it all goes downhill from here, man. All right, this is what we're witnessing as we read these articles. All these articles are speaking about the imminent financial collapse that's coming, man, that people are not prepared for. You see? So here's the next article here. And that was the point, unless you want to add on.
You got it.
All right. Because all the signs are on the wall. All right. So here, this is from theweek.com. It says, is a financial market crash around the corner. It says, observers see echoes of 1929. Okay. That financial crash. Right now, we're not going to read this because I got a video I actually want to add into this point. But here's another headline. I'll read these two headlines and we'll play the video, right? But it says this is from where's this from? This is from the Daily Mail. It says, we've never been so sure of an imminent financial crash. Industry leaders across all sectors come together to say these signs of U.S. economic meltdown are undeniable. All right, that's Ecclesiastes 12, right?
Yep.
Let me get that real fast before we read on. What did it say again? It said that industry leaders across all sectors come together to say these signs of U.S. economic meltdown are undeniable, right? So this is Ecclesiastes 12. All right, I'll read to the point. The point is in 3. This is Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Verse 2. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Verse 3, the point. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Right. So this is an aspect of that. Right. It says when in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Again, going back to the title that we just read. Right. Industry leaders across all sectors come together. All right. So these industry leaders, these financial gurus, these people who operate, on high levels in Wall Street, all of these so-called, people that watch over the economy, they all see that the direction where it's headed is headed for a crash, right? And that represents the keepers of the house. And they're in a state of trembling because they see that this place is about to go out, right? It says in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. All right, going back into the lack of work, the lack of jobs. It says, "And those that look out of the windows, be darkened." All right, because the state of America's, the system, this society is grim, it's dark, right? It's getting ready to collapse. So anyway, going back. All right. Just making the points here. It says warning signs are flashing in all corners of the U.S. economy as regular Americans are under increasing pressure. Just last week, tens of thousands of workers were laid off by major companies, including Amazon, UPS, and General Motors. Meanwhile, one of the largest casino and resort operations in Las Vegas, which runs hotels at Caesar's Palace, admitted that 90,000 rooms sat empty this summer as Americans shunned expensive vacations. Ooh, man. It says the price of gold, which hit record highs earlier in October, continued to plummet, prompting analysis to warn of a possible mini burst on the horizon. All right. And that's exactly how they're going to be looking in the time to come. All right. Can you get that in was it Zephaniah?
Yep.
Zephaniah 1. I'll pull it up as well. All right. Prophecy right off the pages, bro. All right. Zephaniah was it 1 and
10.
Yep, 10 and 11.
So Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills.
And a great crashing from the hills. All right. So this economy is getting ready to crash out. It's getting ready to fall.
Verse 11. Howl ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off.
You can speak up.
Right. So that's going into these financial forecasters, man. Right. These people who work these markets, these stockbrokers and things of that nature. As we read the report, gold going down, right? But if you pay attention, all the bubbles and things of that nature, they're in a cyclical pattern, man.
That's right.
So we're seeing just a repeat of what happened in 2008, 2009. We're seeing a repeat of what happened, before the Great Depression, right? All this, and AI plays a major a factor in a major role in it, because all this money is flowing into an unproven commodity, right? So once that bubble bursts, then people's whole financial futures is going to be destroyed, man.
That's it. It's coming, man. Isaiah, real quick. Let me think. It was Isaiah 31. All right, real fast. I'll get it. I think it's Isaiah 31 and let's say like verse 8. Bear with me 1 second. It just came to mind. Is it Isaiah 31? Slovakia. I'll find it. Or is it Isaiah 30? Yeah, it's Isaiah 30. Let me get Isaiah 30 out. Isaiah 30 and start at 11. The point is in verse 13.
Okay. Isaiah 30, verse 11. Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease before us. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon.
Yep.
Therefore, this iniquity shall be as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant.
Whose breaketh cometh suddenly at an instant, man. All right. So that day of reckoning is coming, man. This shit is about to get real. All right. They gotta usher in that new system, as we just read in this article they pointed out. This is the perfect scenario for them to bring in that digital control grid of a central bank digital currencies, right?
Right.
It says waiting in the wings. All right. So, hey, you were warned, right? Let's move on. Okay. Back in that article, if there's anything else you want to take from it. Warning signs are flashing in all corners of the U.S. economy. All right. You see? So we they're showing you, and we're telling you, you know, the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, you know. Experts are warning that we are seeing a K-shaped economy, so on and so forth, right? And you can read the rest of that on your own, but I want to get to the video, all right? Because all these headlines are major headlines. Here's another one real quick. It says something just broke. It appears that a liquidity crisis is upon us, and that is really bad news for financial markets, all right? See again, all right? It says, what is the Fed not telling us? The numbers clearly indicate that big trouble is brewing in the banking system. It says, I wish I could specifically tell you which banks are in the most trouble, but at this stage, we simply aren't being told anything. They probably figured that the best approach is to try to keep everyone as calm as possible, because people gonna fucking panic.
Right.
Okay. This is why the Lord said in Isaiah 33:6 that knowledge and wisdom should be the stability of thy times.
Right.
You see, it says, but they won't be able to keep a lid on what's going on indefinitely. And when word finally gets out, people could start to panic. It says in recent weeks, bank reserves have fallen to alarmingly low levels. Okay. And the rest reads on. So let's get to the video just to top it off, right? I saw this on TikTok. The brother Tazamak sent this the other day, a few days ago. Let's let this play. It's about 3 minutes long.
Massive amounts of money is being printed, particularly in the United States, which is a reserve currency. That money is being given to banks who are being incentivized to invest in the stock market. So the entire stock market is being kept up on its own. Now, that's just the debt of the United States government, 33 trillion. But that's just a very small piece of it. Over here is 103 trillion. This includes the debt of United States households, credit card loans, student loans, all that kind of stuff. That's actually $103 trillion in debt. This is what's called the unfunded liability. People who understand how to read a balance sheet will know this. This is all the liabilities, another 211 trillion the United States owes to people. For example, if I were to retire, the United States owes me my Social Security payments for all of us. And this is just the United States. You can probably do any other country. So 211 trillion plus 103, $314 trillion is what the U.S. is in debt. If you think about a balance sheet.
Bro, 300 and what do you say, 313, 314 trillion? Bro, that's higher than what we've been saying. we were saying what, about 200?
Right.
It's 314 trillion. It's a wrap. There's no coming back from that, man. All right, as we just read in Habakkuk chapter 2. You know, that thick clay, that's the debt. That's not getting paid off. So the only thing left is to crash it all out. You know?
You have debt, your Social Security payments for all of us. And this is just the United States. You can probably do any other country. So 211 trillion plus 103, $314 trillion is what the U.S. is in debt. If you think about a balance sheet, you have debt, your liabilities, and your assets. Well, what's the U.S. assets? If you sold every piece of property in the United States, all the assets in the United States, it's worth 220 trillion. Well, 220 trillion minus 314 trillion still leaves you in a deficit of about $90 trillion. The United States is literally bankrupt. It has no money. The entire U.S. economy is based on fumes. The only way the United States can survive with that $90 trillion deficit, the United States is going to create a new currency, centralized bank digital currency, Fed now. They're going to literally make $100 trillion. It's not the U.S. dollar, it's something else. And then they're going to take that $100 trillion and they're going to pay down the national debt using about 30 trillion, and the remaining 70 trillion, in order to balance the sheet, they're going to tell every American that all your assets are worth 3 cents on the dollar. So if you own a piece of real estate that's worth $100,000, overnight it's going to only be worth $30,000. The day of reckoning is going to come. When this happens, either there's going to be massive civil war in the United States when people realize, wow, these people fucked us. Most of them were the Zionists. They're going to go after them. If there's a movement, we can mobilize that anger. And if there's not a movement, you can head into the dark ages. The certain set of people go.
And this is what these right-wing Edomites, this is what they know is coming. A lot of people understand what's going on to a certain degree, right? This is why they're preparing to arm, they're arming themselves up. This is why Trump got the troops deployed in all the major cities, because they're preparing for this event. Yeah, you got the immigration thing, you got the ICE and all of that, but they're really preparing for people to fucking rebel, man. 2 Ezra 15, right? There should be sedition among men. They won't regard their kings nor princes. The course of their actions shall stand in their own power. People going to lose it. That's what's going to bring America to its knees. All right? And we've been prophesying these things unto you through the Spirit, man. Okay?
Into their underground bunkers, launch nukes to protect themselves, unleash police to butcher people, and it'll be global. If there's a movement, you can.
Let me play that back.
About 30 trillion, and the remaining 70 trillion, in order to balance the sheet, they're going to tell every American that all your assets are worth 3 cents on the dollar. So if you own a piece of real estate that's worth $100,000, overnight it's going to only be worth $30,000. The day of reckoning is going to come. When this happens, either there's going to be massive civil war in the United States when people realize, wow, these people fucked us. Most of them were the Zionists. They're going to go after them. If there's a movement, we can mobilize that anger. And if there's not a movement, you can head into the dark ages. The certain set of people go into their underground bunkers, launch nukes to protect themselves, unleash police to butcher people, and it'll be global. If there's a movement, you can take all that anger and you can say, this is what needs to be done now. So we're creating a movement, and there's history which is moving in its direction. Now, history, and if that movement converge, you can create a new world. But without a movement and history happening, there's nothing. You still have to build the movement. What we are doing here is being highly conscious at a meta level of what's going on and recognizing we have no choice but to build a profound movement, which is founded on a strong foundation of human beings who are not wackadoodle. We're not one day, oh, well, let's go vote for Trump. Let's go vote for Bernie. They actually are self-reflective, who think about, wow, you know what? I fucked up when I supported Booby fucking Kennedy. I realized this. And now we have to understand why I did that and what is the real underpinnings of building a movement. That's the knowledge. Then I'm going to commune with other people, and it's global. We're no longer in just the United States. And then I have to realize I have to grow this movement. It is a process. It is not saying that it's like some Armageddon. Our movement has to build, and history will create that opportunity where the movement and history meet. We need to build a bottoms-up movement. Go to ShivaForPresident.com and volunteer.
There you go. But what he fails to understand, that there's no healing of Babylon, no matter what they try to do. All right. Again, as we're warning all you believers out there that's watching this video, hey, the inevitable is coming. It's not going to be stopped, man. This is the will of Yahweh Shemel Washai. All right. So we're in the midst of that transition happen. All right. One more, and then we'll get to the scriptures. All right. Just to put the cherry on top. U.S. bank reserves nosedive to 2.8 trillion, crash to 4-year low. Analysis say crisis could be near. So how much more proof do you need, man?
Exactly.
We don't even need to read the article, man. Okay, it's over. All right. So as we've been telling you, believers out there, you gotta prepare and brace for impact, man. Okay, this shit's gonna get crucial, and the Lord got to be with you. You got anything you want to add on?
Real quick.
Yep.
Proverbs 10 and starting verse 2. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivereth from death. the Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casteth away the substance of the wicked, right? So as he was talking about, making a movement and things of that nature, the only movement that's going to prevail is of prophecy, man. Of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua establishing, a righteous kingdom in the earth, right? But that entails the destruction of this current hegemony, man, right? So him, that's the pride that, these people are under, that delusion that they're under, that there's something they can do of their own strength, right? To offset this situation.
Yeah. There's no plan. Like back then you had the what was it called? The quantitative easing, right? Pumping more money into the printing more money into the economy. All right. It's all designed. This system was designed to fail. This is what people don't understand. Right? So again, as I keep reiterating, you've been warned through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Washai, right? Now, I want to read this real quick, and then we'll go into the next articles here. But let's get bear with me. Right? Let's get one more Salakia, and then we'll grab the scripture. Right? Here's another one. It says Thanksgiving will bring a domino effect of chaos and misery if shutdown isn't ended now, right? You see what's going on. They got this picture of the airports, man. People are stranded. Like all over the airports of America, people are stranded, stuck. It's bad, It says, and I'll just read this paragraph and grab the scripture, but it says, as the federal government remains locked in its longest shutdown ever, now stretching into its 38th day, families across the country face a grim holiday season. With Thanksgiving less than 3 weeks away on November 27th, air travel disruptions are already piling up. Courtesy of unpaid air traffic controllers and FAA mandated flight reductions, airlines have canceled hundreds of flights starting today, with experts warning of widespread delays, longer security lines, and chaos at airports if this drags on. All right, so it's crazy out there. But anyway, let me grab the scripture here. All right, so this is this is Ezekiel 7, Ezekiel 7:10. It says, "Behold, the day. Behold, it is come. The morning is gone forth. The rod have blossomed. Pride have budded." It says, "Violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor of any of theirs. Neither should there be welling for them." All right, because people are about to lose it soon to come. All right, and we're at that breaking point. All right, it says, "The time has come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof." Verse 13. Excuse me. It says, "For the seller shall not return that which is sold, although they were yet alive. For the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which shall not return, neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. They have blown the trumpet even to make all ready, but none goeth to battle. For my wrath is upon all the multitude thereof." Then the trumpet is being blown, starting with the prophets, giving you the warning. All right, to prepare yourself for these days, for these times that we're about to enter into. All right, the sword is without, and the pestilence and famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. It says, "But they that escape of them shall escape, and shall be on the mountains like doves of the valleys, all of them mourning, everyone for his iniquity. All hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them. And shame should be upon all faces, and baldness upon their heads." Because this time that we're coming into is going to be so horrible, right? That people are just going to give up. Right. Give up the spirit. It's going to be a terrible time. That sackcloth represents lamentation. Okay, sighing and crying. Right. Verse 19: "They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. They should not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity, right? And I want to just read that in the chat, make some quick points, right? We'll add more articles in there, but it's all prophecy, right? So this is Ezekiel 7 and 10 and 11, all right? It goes into this right here. It says, behold, the day of judgment has arrived. This refers to destruction, the destruction of Jerusalem by Babylon, but prophetically, it also points to the coming judgment in the last days. The rod had blossomed, pride budded. The rod symbolizes punishment and authority. Israel's pride and wickedness has matured. Sin has fully blossomed, now bringing divine punishment. Violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. It says the very violence and corruption the people sowed will return upon them as an instrument of the destruction. See? None of them should remain. Total devastation, no escape from divine judgment. All right, this is what we're telling y'all through the Spirit. Verse 12. The time has come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for the wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. It says, the coming destruction will make business and material possessions meaningless. Buyers and sellers usually have opposing emotions. Buyer rejoices, seller mourns. But now both suffer alike, because the entire economy and society will collapse under judgment. All right, and we gave you all the signs early on, or how everything is leading to a total economic collapse. Right? You was gonna say something about?
I was just gonna add real quick.
Yep.
You read this in the NLT. In verse 11, it says, their violence has grown into a rod that will beat them for their wickedness. None of these proud and wicked people will survive. All their wealth and prestige will be swept away. Right. So this is what we're seeing, is that wealth, that the American way, right?
Yep.
The what was it, 2.5 kids and a dog and all that.
Yeah. House on the hill.
Right. All that's being washed away, man. This is the Lord is bit by bit, tearing everything that these people rooted their foundations in and uprooting it, man.
That's it. It says, this shows economic collapse and social instability, right? A pattern that repeats in prophetic end time warnings, right? Verse 13, for the seller should not return that which is sold, although they were yet alive, for the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which should not return, neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. It says, even if someone sells property to survive, it will do no good. No one will return to reclaim it. The vision touching the whole multitude means the judgment is universal upon the land, no partial sparing. Neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. People will no longer find confidence in their sinful ways, their idols, or their wealth. All false strength will fail. Man. Verse 14, they have blown the trumpet even to make all ready, but none goeth to battle, for my wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. It says the trumpet signifies a call to war or defense, but no one answers because fear, confusion, and divine wrath have paralyzed them. Yahweh, the Lord's anger, removes courage and unity from the people. This represents total demoralization, a judgment that destroys not just bodies, but spirits, man. All right. You got to go ahead, bro.
Isaiah 19 and 2 in the NLT.
Yep.
Verse 3 in the NLT. The Egyptians will lose heart, and I will confuse their plans. They will plead with their idols for wisdom and call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult with the spirits of the dead. Right? So just them losing their minds, man, losing that faith. Them leaning upon, this system, right, is they're watching it fail before,
man. And there's nothing they can do. Like the Elamite dude said, the people are going to eventually realize that they got fucked over.
Exactly.
And they're gonna crash out. And that's what's bubbling up now. Right? A little bit more, and we'll grab, those last few articles and we'll wrap it. But everybody needs to see this, right? So going back, Right? So verse 15, the sword is without, and the pestilence and famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. Sword without enemies, Babylon bringing destruction from outside, famine and pestilence within, starvation and disease inside the cities due to siege. There is no escape, whether outside or inside, judgment follows. This pattern mirrors Deuteronomy 28:52-53, where Israel disobedience brings siege, famine, and plague, and all these things are coming, right? A little bit more, right? It says, verses 16 and 18, the breakdown. It says, a remnant will survive. It says, but not triumphantly. They will mourn and hide in mountains like frightened doves. They finally recognize their sin. Everyone for his own iniquity. Repentance born of great sorrow. All hands feeble, knees weak as water, symbolizes total despair and helplessness. Sackcloth and baldness are signs of mourning and humiliation. All right. This shows a breaking of national pride and deep sorrow that comes from divine chastisement. Right. Last one. They should cast their silver in the streets. It says, in times of judgment, money becomes worthless. They'll throw it in the streets. Gold and silver cannot deliver anyone from God's wrath. Proverbs 11:4, richest profit not in the day of wrath. Their wealth, which they trusted in and used to fuel idolatry and greed, has become their stumbling block, the very cause of their destruction. Prophetically, this points to the financial collapse and the fall of Babylon the Great. Man, there you go. All right. So let's get into the next article. All right. Because all the signs are there. All right. Pulling this up. All over America, chaos is erupting in the streets. All right. And this is all over in these major cities. People are, the theft, the crime. Now you got the whole cut and the snap. People are like, look, on social media, like, look, we're going to rob the grocery stores, and we dare if anybody tries to stop us. It's a brutal time, right? And this is the one I want to get into before we close it out, just to add on. This is from Political. It says, America is bracing for political violence, and a significant portion thinks it's sometimes okay. A majority of Americans think it's likely a political candidate will be assassinated in the next 5 years, right? So that violence is brewing and it's coming, right? Let's blow this up a little bit and we'll read down, right? So it says, most Americans expect political violence to keep growing in the United States and believe that it is likely a political candidate will be assassinated in the next few years, right? Some more, and I can't read it because it's a damn ad, right? But we'll go down, right? It says, it's a view held by majorities of Americans all across lines like gender, age, party affiliation, and level of education, though Democrats and older voters express particular concern. It says, perhaps most troubling, a significant minority of the population, 24%, believes that there are some instances where violence is justified. There was a little partisan divide in that belief, but a strong generational one. Younger Americans were significantly more likely than older ones to say violence can be justified. More than 1 of 3 Americans under the age of 45 agree with that belief, right? Let's jump down. All right, because they did the poll. Americans broadly expect political violence to increase, right? And they went back to 2024 vote, Trump and Harris, the gender, as I said, the education, race, and ethnicity. These are the numbers that they had from the poll, the income, the age, so on and so forth, right? It says, the political poll conducted after Kirk's assassination suggests Americans are rattled by the environment of heightened political violence, and that most still reject it. About 2/3, 64%, say political violence is never justified. It says still a small but significant portion of the population, 24% say that there are some instances where violence is justified. Last one here. It says what's happening is public support for political violence is growing in the mainstream. It is not a fringe thing, and the more it grows, the more it seems susceptible to volatile people, Pape said. All right, you can read the rest. It's a long article. All right, but everything that we're reading is prophecy. Okay, get 2nd Ezra 15. You already know verse 14.
God.
You know, that'll be it, man. It's going down. But again, this is that illusion, the illusion of prosperity in the collapsing system. All hell is about to break loose. Okay, so what manner of persons are you out to be, man? You know, you got it, bro.
God. I'm gonna get this in the Good News translation.
There you go.
2nd Ezra 15 and 14. The world and the people in it are doomed. The war that will bring the destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves and fight against other nations. There will be great political turmoil, with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government. There will no longer be free access to cities because the struggle for power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. It says, driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. The Most High says, I think that's the point.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you speak on that.
But that's what we're walking into right now, man. Right? What's Klaus Schwab said, prepare for an angrier world, man. Right? The world is about to be its angriest. And you can already see it on these people's faces. They're just holding it together.
They are.
But they're just one, somebody honking at them in traffic, right? One missed bill payment, just a minor inconvenience from crashing out, man.
Sure.
And that's going to cause a snowball effect because people are going to look and see the masses out here, rioting, looting, the sedition, people joining in protests and things of that nature, and it's just going to lead to more and more, people leaning in that direction, man.
Yeah. That's it, man. Hey, the party is fucking over. How much more can we say? How can we put it to you, man? All right. Prophecy is speaking. All right. So it's getting ready to go down again, right? As we started the article, right? But the illusion of prosperity in the collapsing system, there's nothing else, man. This place has nothing else to offer, man. So those that want to continue to live on like everything is coping steady, you're gonna find out. This is what we're trying to tell you, Jay. It's time to separate yourself from this world. It's time to completely detach your mindset from Babylon, from America. It's over, man. Okay, everybody's talking about the imminent financial collapse, the crashing of the system. And what do you think is going to happen next? All hell breaking loose, martial law, the chip being pushed, Jacob's trouble, which we're in the midst of it now, famines, plagues, okay, instability, confusion, okay, all these things that we read in these articles here, it's all prophecies, all divine, man, right? So, hey, we'll wrap it up with this. Let me pull it up. Bear with me. All right, this is Revelation 22. All right. Revelation 22, the final message, right? It's all the Spirit. Revelation 22 and 10. And he saith unto me, seal not the sayings of the prophecy of this book, for the time is at hand. Okay? The point, verse 11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And that's plain. Okay? Those that don't agree, that don't believe, and whatever it is, they can't see it. Hey, let them remain filthy and unjust. Those that are righteous, that can see it, that agree, that believe, that fear, all right, that are praying and hoping to be under the Lord's hedge of protection in that time. Hey, just keep doing what you're doing. Those that support the ministry, the brotherhood, that sincerely believe, keep doing what you do. right? Verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. You know? So that's it, man.
Okay.
You know, we'll leave it like that. Unless you had any of the words I wanted to add in there.
That was it.
That was it, man. You know, so we pray that this live lesson was edifying. All right, news and prophecy, the illusion of prosperity and the collapsing system, man. Time is running out, man. We almost out of here. All right. Shalom. Hey, we're going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who taught us the truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect.
Shalom.
It's almost over. Shalom. Yes, sir.